Welcome to the Deep Dive.
Great to be here.
Today we are diving deep into something that's, well, causing quite a stir, especially down in Texas. It involves visual media, things like anime and manga.
That's right. We're unpacking Texas Senate Bill 20, SB 20. We've looked at the sources you sent over.
Yeah, our mission today is to really break down what this bill means, its specifics, the implications. It's passed the Texas Senate, heading to the House now, and people are definitely talking.
A lot of talk, especially about how it targets visual media, and specifically how it includes things that aren't real, like animation or, AI-generated stuff.
That's the core, isn't it? The potential impact on communities, artists, fans.
Exactly. The sources highlight that controversy quite clearly.
So let's get right to it. What exactly does the bill say that's sparking all this?
Okay, so the critical language, it's really in how it defines obscene visual material. The bill makes it an offense, a crime, to knowingly possess it or access it, wanting to view it or promote it.
Promote material containing what, exactly?
Material with a depiction that appears to be of a child younger than 18 years of age doing certain things.
Okay, appears to be. That sounds like the key phrase causing the friction, right? Because it adds something specific.
It does. It explicitly says, and this is important, regardless of whether the depiction is an image of an actual child, a cartoon or animation, or an image created using artificial intelligence application or other computer software.
Wow. Regardless. So drawings, AI, it doesn't matter if it's real or not.
Precisely. And that's a huge shift. It's a significant departure from the current federal legal standard we have for child pornography.
Which normally requires it to look real.
Yeah, the standard usually requires the depiction to be indistinguishable from the real thing. That standard has sort of protected non-real artistic works. But this new bill seems to just bypass that completely. It focuses only on the appearance.
Okay, focusing just on appearance, regardless of how it was made, or even the character's intended age in the story. That sounds incredibly broad.
It does.
What are the potential, real-world impacts the sources are pointing to, the controversies?
Well, critics are really concerned, deeply concerned, that the bill's definition of obscene, and especially that phrase, appears to be of a child younger than 18, is just dangerously vague.
Vague how? What could happen?
They argue it could accidentally, or maybe not so accidentally, criminalize a huge range of art. Manga, anime, even mainstream titles or fan art.
Just because a character looks young, even if they're meant to be older or it's just an art style.
That's the fear. Looks youthful, irrespective of canonical age or artistic style. And the penalties mentioned, they're severe. We're talking state jail felony, maybe even up to a second-degree felony.
For possessing it, or just viewing.
Yes, criminalizing even simple possession or viewing, which is...
Yeah.
But the potential criminalizing possession of something not real, purely based on how it looks, that sounds like where the big legal challenge lies.
It absolutely is. Now, on the flip side, you have supporters, like Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick was mentioned in one source. They frame it as necessary. Necessary for what?
Protection, especially in the digital age. With AI content booming. Some sources suggest maybe the goal is really about targeting specific explicit genres, or maybe getting certain books out of schools and libraries.
But other sources disagree with that motivation.
Right, other sources dispute that and worry much more about the broad overreach, just hitting legitimate art and expression.
So, the stated aim is protection, but the language itself has critics worried about, unintended consequences. How likely is this to actually hold up legally? What do the sources say?
The overwhelming consensus, really, from the legal analysis and the sources, is that this bill faces major constitutional hurdles, significant challenges.
Especially that part about possessing non-real images.
Exactly. Criminalizing simple possession of obscene, non-real stuff based only on appearance seems to clash directly with established Supreme Court precedent.
Like what? Are there specific cases?
Yeah. They cite cases like Stanley v. Georgia, which deals with possessing obscene material in your own home, and also the whole indistinguishable from real standard, which comes from cases like New York v. Ferber.
So, even though it passed the Texas Senate, the legal analysis suggests it's probably unconstitutional.
That seems to be the prediction, yes. It's widely expected it would be struck down if and when it reaches the Supreme Court.
If it gets there. How does that usually happen?
Well, that's the tough part. Usually it requires someone to actually be prosecuted under the law first.
Oh!
Which creates what one source called collateral damage. real people, maybe artists or businesses, facing serious legal trouble while the law itself gets challenged. It's not ideal.
Right, that sounds awful. Is there any other way, another path to challenge it without someone having to go through that?
Interestingly, yeah, the sources do mention something else. Companies with big business interests in Texas. Think Sony, Crunchyroll, major players in anime and manga distribution.
They have a presence in Texas, right?
A significant one. They could potentially mount a legal challenge themselves because the bill directly impacts their business. Their resources might mean a faster track to court.
That's fascinating. A corporate challenge instead of an individual one.
It's a possibility. And it's also mentioned, kind of related, that Japanese politicians are apparently keeping an eye on this bill too.
Why to them?
Because of the potential impact on distributing Japanese media, like anime and manga, not just in Texas, but maybe setting a precedent elsewhere. It adds this whole international dimension.
It really does. So, at the end of the day, where does this leave things?
Well, ultimately, the sources suggest that while the bill is likely unconstitutional regarding these non-real depictions, at least under current Supreme Court interpretation.
But until it's challenged and overturned.
Exactly. Until then, its broad and vague language creates a lot of uncertainty and, frankly, fear within the art and anime manga community in Texas and probably beyond.
A chilling effect, basically.
You could say that. Which leads us to a really important question, something for you listening to consider. In this age where digital creation, AI, animation, it's all advancing so fast, how can laws effectively protect vulnerable people without accidentally crushing artistic expression or stepping on existing constitutional rights?
That's a balancing act, isn't it? A tough question with no easy answers right now.
Definitely something to mull over.